Hey. That was fucking rude. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm not going to be doing anything involving painting or crocheting or anything that would involve me destroying a perfectly nice piece of furniture in my apartment. Instead, I'm going to try my hand at not making a mess for content. I'm going to be going across town in a few days to house sit for my parents and my brother who are going on vacation to New England without me, and I'm going to have to pack up a lot of my stuff in order to bring me and Louie along with me. That usually causes a lot of stress, and I don't really have a lot of time to start a project. Also because whenever I start a project, I like to dedicate a lot of time over however long it takes to finish it. So I don't really want to start anything when I know that I'm going to either have to take it with me or leave it here and then not be able to work on it for a few weeks. In order to still post something on my channel but not make a fucking mess is to do content that doesn't involve making a mess. I am going to be trying my hand at one of those tier lists. I know that's not a very creative idea and people have been doing this for years, but I feel like I want to do it because I have a lot of opinions on things and I feel like I have a YouTube channel so I can share my opinions with the rest of the world. And by the rest of the world, I mean the 12 of you that watch my videos. I found one for all of the Star Wars characters. I did not make this list. I found it on the tier list website. I think it's called like tierlist.com, and I typed in Star Wars and that was the first thing that came up, so I was like, okay, fine. And I decided that this would be a good idea for some reason. I know this will be particularly triggering to my mother because she has told me in the past that my videos having to do with Star Wars tend to drag a lot. So sorry, Mom. I'll make sure to make one that's more interesting next time. I've been a lifelong fan of Star Wars ever since I was a little kid. I think my parents showed me the first movies when I was like 2 or 3, before The Phantom Menace came out. It seems like it's been a part of my childhood and my life since before I can remember. I could watch it literally a million times and never get sick of it. And I have. I really have. I can quote any part of Return of the Jedi. If you start saying a line from the movie, I can finish the fucking scene because I'm just built different. I'm not as much of a fan of the prequel trilogy or the Disney era stuff. I just like a good story. And if Disney can provide that for me, or if George Lucas could have provided that for me, then I'll like it. But, you know, I feel like this franchise has kind of spiraled all out of control in a lot of ways and has become this giant conglomerate and corporate mess. So that's really where I'm coming from, my perspective. I'm going to try to be as unbiased as humanly possible with this and just try to think critically about the characters and everything, because there are some good characters in the prequels, right? I should probably think about that before I say that. So I have my little list here and it's in alphabetical order, so I kind of might want to skip around a little bit. I'm just going to go through all of the ones that I don't know right off the bat because I haven't seen the Clone Wars. So I'm just going to go through and put everything from the Clone Wars in the I don't know them category because I don't know them. So I think I need to relabel these categories just so I can get a better idea of where we stand. So top tier, really good, upper side of meh, lower side of meh, brash, don't know everything in the Clone Wars. So these are my categories. I feel like it covers a broad spectrum of different types of characters and everything. So what I'm going to go through is just get rid of all the ones I don't know right off the bat. I don't know who the fuck that is. Don't know that. Don't know that. Why is his face so narrow? Ew. I know who this is. No, I don't. Actually, I don't know who that is. Why is everyone in these animated shows super fucking ugly? My god. Is that like Darth Maul's cousin? Ew. So that's, I think, pretty much everyone I don't know. So we can just kind of go through. I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit and, you know, because there might be some that I'm not entirely sure where I want to put them yet. I'm going to start off with, what do I want to start with? I feel like I want to start with Chewbacca. I don't know why. I'm going to put Chewbacca in really good because he definitely enhances the story. He's a great sidekick. I love his banter with Han Solo. I wouldn't say he's top tier because it's like there's only so much he can do and contribute, and there's a lot more complex storylines with characters going on than Chewbacca, but I think he's a wonderful counterpart to Han Solo and to the other characters in the story, and he always kind of adds a lightheartedness to the scenes. I feel like he was criminally underused in the sequel trilogy. He was just kind of there, and then he ate a porg, which was like really fucking traumatic if I'm being honest with you. Now this bitch, I don't know her name. I know that she is in the Clone Wars technically, but she also made an appearance in The Mandalorian, which I have seen. I know that she is Anakin Skywalker's apprentice, and apparently she is just a random other Jedi that survived Order 66, even though I'm pretty sure Yoda and Obi-Wan were the only ones that survived. So I'm like, okay, I guess that's just we're just walking that back, okay? And based on my experience with her in The Mandalorian, I'm gonna put her in the lower side of meh. Maybe it's just because I don't know her from the Clone Wars as well, but I feel like the way she was kind of handling the situation and her reasons for not wanting to train Baby Yoda were kind of just for the sake of plot convenience, and that whole episode just seemed to just set up her eventual spin-off story that they're gonna do with Disney, and I don't really like when shows do that. Like, I know you have to do that, but it's annoying because it's very transparent that you're just throwing this in for the sake of setting up other projects so you can take more of my money. I don't really think she was that compelling of a character based on what I know from The Mandalorian. She could be the most phenomenal character in the Clone Wars for all I care, but like, I don't know. Admiral Holdo. I'm gonna throw her in the same category. Here's the thing. Gotta respect her taking the Rebel cruiser and shooting it through the First Order fleet at light speed. I know a lot of people had a lot of issues with it for whatever reason. I don't fucking care. I thought it was cool. And I was honestly shocked when I saw it in theaters for the first time. I was like, oh shit. Oh, she really did that. I gotta respect her for that, but her whole miscommunication with Poe about not telling him about the plan to sneak off into the other rebel base and hide away from the First Order. No rational human being would hide that from one of your high-in-command people, even if they're acting like an asshole like Poe sometimes does. You're not going to keep that vital information as to whether people are going to live or die on this whole escapade from somebody. And it was purely for the sake of plot convenience to give these people stuck on a ship something to do. I feel like her character probably didn't even have to exist in the first place. So I'm gonna put her in the lower side of meh. She's not trash by any means, but I definitely feel like she has to go in there. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with Anakin, so I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit and jump around to some other people. Cassian Andor, I don't know if that's his name, but Cassian, also gonna put him on the lower side of meh. Here's the thing with Rogue One. I don't really know or care about any of the characters. They're so boring and one note and don't really have any distinguishing qualities whatsoever. I don't think any of the performances were very good. I don't think they really establish any reason why we should care about them. And yeah, maybe that's the point of Rogue One, is to have people that you don't really know, but at the end of the day, even if you know that the characters are gonna die, you still have to like give us a fucking reason to care about them. You can't just introduce them and be like, well, it's in the Star Wars franchise and he's a character in the Star Wars franchise, so you have to care about him. I'm gonna put him in the lower side of meh. Again, not trash, but he's definitely could have done a lot better with that. General Grievous, trash. Here's the thing. The only interesting thing about him is the fact that he holds 6 lightsabers. He is literally a lizard robot, and there is nothing compelling about him whatsoever. They should have had Count Dooku be the main villain into the 3rd movie and had some sort of interesting dynamic between him and Obi-Wan over their connection through Qui-Gon Jinn. That would have actually been interesting. But those films avoid interesting, like my boyfriend avoids my cat because he has asthma and he can't breathe when he touches her. I feel like Grievous is just kind of the embodiment of everything that's wrong with the prequels, and I know that sounds really dramatic, but it's true, because they just go for the aesthetics. They just go for like, oh, he's gonna look so fucking cool because he's holding 6 lightsabers and he's gonna do the twirly thing and it's gonna be so badass. When in reality, it's like, who is Grievous? Why the fuck should I care about Grievous? Of course, because they introduce him and they just fucking kill him off because they need some sort of nonsense side plot for Obi-Wan to do so that Anakin can get manipulated into becoming Darth Vader. It's entirely just plot convenience and selling toys. I'm putting Grievous in trash, and we're just gonna leave it at that. BB-8. I'm gonna put upper side of meh because I feel like he was really cute and endearing, and I like that he had a good personality, like kind of a different type of personality than the other droids we'd seen in Force Awakens, but then he kind of started getting a little bit too Swiss Army knife-like in the other 2 films. Like, he started like manning an AT-AT walker in The Last Jedi, and I was like, since how the fuck did you get up there, first of all? Do I want to talk about Anakin yet? No. Okay, I'm gonna put Palpatine as really good. Palpatine, it's like we don't even really need to know his motivations or anything like that. It's not super developed or complicated. It's just, this guy is fucking evil and he's power hungry, and that's all you really need to know. The performance for this character is great. He's just so much the embodiment of pure evil. He's probably one of the only good things about the prequel trilogy, and it's because it's the original guy from the original trilogy who does it. I'm not going to put him in top tier again because I feel like there's some bigger players here, but it could change. I don't know. Kylo Ren, I'm actually going to put him in top tier. Listen. hear me out. Adam Driver carried the sequel trilogy. He fucking carried the sequel trilogy. That man is a good actor. That man is a very good actor. Rather than being the character with a superiority complex where he thinks he's better than everyone, Kylo Ren has an inferiority complex. He's like trying to be better than everyone, but he secretly knows that he's not, and he secretly knows that he's super insecure about his connection to the dark side, and he's super insecure about his abilities to be the Sith Lord and everything that, you know, he wants to be. And I really like that twist that they have that takes a nod to the original evil character in this franchise, but turns it on his head a bit. I think he's different enough from Darth Vader to make it its own thing, and I know a lot of people disagree with me on that, but, you know, it's what it is. I'm kind of the Star Wars expert, so you kind of can't disagree with me. So he's going in top tier, and that's all I'll have to say about that. Han Solo, also top tier. Literally nobody else could make that character more than Harrison Ford. Even in The Force Awakens, he was old and rickety, but he still captured that same charisma and that same charm of being Han Solo. He's one of the most iconic characters of all time. I mean, come on. Boba Fett. Okay. I'm gonna put him on the lower side of mine. Here's the thing. Boba Fett doesn't fucking matter. Let me just give a bit of a hot take. Boba Fett is a plot device. I need to drink some water before I finish talking about this. Hold on. The fact that they're giving Boba Fett his own series on Disney Plus is fucking laughable to me. He's a glorified plot device. He is a reason to have events transpire and get characters from location A to location B in The Empire Strikes Back. It doesn't feel like it because that's called good writing. Basically, he is a reason to get Han Solo and Princess Leia to Cloud City and have them convene with the Empire and have the entire third act of The Empire Strikes Back occur. It doesn't feel like a plot device because they actually gave a shit about writing and character development in The Empire Strikes Back. I get so sick of people talking about how Boba Fett was so not used correctly in Return of the Jedi, and the fact that he died was such a travesty. It's like the fact that he fucking died by accident should tell you how important he is. He's not that important. He wasn't meant to be this bigger character that should be connected in through the prequel trilogy. But because he's cool and because he says cool things, people just assume that he has to be important. I think he did contribute a lot to the plot, and he did contribute to the franchise as a whole, but definitely not to the point where a lot of people elevate him to this, you know, high stature of importance. I mean, I've seen lists ranking Star Wars characters where he's like number 2, and I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? Darth Maul, trash. Again, somebody that has been risen to the level of overimportance to the point where it's comical. Darth Maul is an aesthetic, and that's basically it. This man doesn't say anything, he doesn't do anything. I don't fucking care what they say in the Clone Wars or anything like that, or in the books or whatever. He doesn't matter. So apparently, his death and the fact that he exists is supposed to tell the Jedi that because Siths always travel in two, there's an apprentice and a master, like they're on Noah's fucking Ark or something. It tells them that there's another Sith running around. That's literally the entire point of having Darth Maul exist, is to let them know that there's like a master running around that's associated with Darth Maul. That's it. Jango Fett, trash. That, again, going back to the fact of this overimportance of Boba Fett and the fact that he was like an unaltered clone of this guy Jango Fett, it's like, it kind of like muddies the waters of the lore in Star Wars. Also because he just got beheaded like a little bitch. Also, he's the person from whom they made the clones, like the stormtroopers, and they're notoriously shit at shooting things that are like 5 feet in front of them. So this man, if there was like a thing below trash, I'd probably put him in that. K2SO, I'm gonna put upper side of meh because, again, like every character in Rogue One, underdeveloped and not really fleshed out at all for us to care about him. But he is funny. He had some comic relief. I like that he, again, has kind of a different personality than any of the other droids we'd seen so far. This man, meh. Jyn Erso, lower side of meh. They tried to make this story about her and her dad and how that's a reason why we should care about her, because her dad was like a Death Star architect or something, and he was taken from her when she was a baby, and then she had to grow up in a bunker or something. I don't really remember Rogue One very well, but they really didn't do a ton to develop her character. They just kind of showed this really quick flashback at the beginning of the movie, and then I guess that was enough for us to give a shit about what happens to her. Yeah, she's the main character in the movie, and that's important, I guess, but really as a compelling character, she kind of falls flat. Luke Skywalker, I mean, do I have to explain myself? Luke is an INFP, so obviously he's just one of the most amazing types of people on planet Earth. Deals with adversity and trauma and, you know, losing your arm. He's just a great hero. He really matures throughout the 3 movies. Count Dooku, I feel like, is upper side of Matt. I think he had potential. I really think they botched the whole connection between him and Obi-Wan, and the fact that he was Qui-Gon Jinn's master. There could have been a lot of really interesting stuff with that. They could have actually made an interesting side plot that didn't involve a 6-armed lizard monster. Darth Vader, obviously top tier. I mean, I don't really feel like I have to explain myself for Darth Vader. He's one of the most iconic villains in film. Count Dooku, lower side of Matt. I feel horrible putting this in here because Samuel L. Jackson is one of my favorite characters, but again, having an aesthetic like a purple lightsaber really isn't enough to make an actual interesting character. I remember I was arguing with my friend. We were talking about the prequel trilogy, and he was trying to tell me that they had better characters than the sequels, and he said, well, Mace Windu is a really interesting character, and I was like, oh really? Tell me something interesting about Mace Windu, please, just enlighten me. And then he started talking about him being this conflicted guy and having a lot of gray areas in his morality, and I'm like, where the fuck did you get that from the prequels? And he's like, oh, that might have been in the books actually. And I was like, yeah, no shit. So I don't really care what's written in the books. I don't really care what people, fanboys online, have done to explain away the shortcomings of this character's development. But if you look at the films, not a very interesting character. He's just a guy with a purple lightsaber who speaks in monotones, just like every single fucking person in the Jedi Council. So he's going on the lower side of meh, and that's that. Jabba the Hutt, really good. Leia, iconic, obviously. Mandalorian, I'm actually going to put him in S tier. I don't think, if you asked me before I started watching The Mandalorian if I would have put him in top tier, I would probably say no, because this franchise has made me cynical and jaded and have the lowest of expectations for Disney. However, I really like The Mandalorian. I thought it was fantastic. I think the character is a really interesting one because he's this bounty hunter guy, but he also has this kindness to him and this set of morals and this connection with this little baby Yoda, and it's an unlikely circumstance and an unlikely pairing, and it really brings out a lot of his humanity, and I think that's something that makes this character very interesting and kind of twists the expectation of what you would expect, and I really like that. Finn. I feel really bad. In The Force Awakens, I was really excited because I loved Finn's character. I loved John Boyega. I thought he had a really great charisma on screen. He was funny. He was emotional. Like, you could see his expressions and his emotions and everything, and I thought that read really well in how he interacted and reacted to things going on in the movie, and he had good acting chemistry with a lot of the other characters, but they really just put him on the bench and didn't have a lot to do for him in the other 2 films, and I think that's such a shame because I think he could have added a lot of interesting perspective. I mean, he's a former stormtrooper, and I love that idea for him, and I like this idea that they were trying to introduce, or at least attempted to execute on, which was that he doesn't really want to be good or bad, he just wants to escape. He doesn't want to be part of the First Order, obviously, because they murder people, but he doesn't have initially this grand desire to be a hero and to rise to this occasion and save people. He just wants to fucking leave. And I like that perspective, and I really wish they would have pursued that more, but then they just kind of made him a background character, and I think that's a real shame. So I'm going to put him on the upper side of meh, very regretfully. Maz Kanata, lower side of meh. R2-D2 is like iconic. Lower side of meh. What are you doing? For Poe Dameron, again, somebody that I feel like could have a lot of potential. I like Oscar Isaac. I like that he's kind of like Han, but has more heroic aspirations than Han, maybe. But again, his character kind of fell flat after The Rise of Skywalker, with The Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi, you know? And that's the thing that sucks with these movies and with Disney. It's like they're just phoning it in because they have good ideas, but they don't put a plan together that's coherent. And then you just have shit like this where you just have characters that fall flat. Trash. I really wish that they would have, you know, I don't even want to go into it. He was an interesting, introduced, mysterious character in The Force Awakens, and Rian Johnson was like, no. This guy, I'm going to put him in the upper side of meh because I thought his concept was really cool. I liked this spiritual user with the Force, but it's not a Jedi, but just has a sensitivity to the Force. Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I'm going to put him here because he really wasn't doing a whole hell of a lot in the prequel trilogy, but the original trilogy, you know, he's one of the best characters. He has so many great teaching moments and interactions with Luke, but in the prequel trilogy, they kind of walked that back a little bit. Hux, I'm going to put him here. Well, no. I don't know. I feel like I'm just meh. I don't have a category for just meh. So I'll round him up. No, get back over here. Governor Tarkin, gotta put here because I feel like his performance and his role in A New Hope, while very short, he just really embodied that cold, sterile, heartless image of the Empire, especially in A New Hope. I think once you see him and you see those fucking cheekbones of his, you immediately get a sense for what the Empire is about and what they stand for, and I think that's important. Yoda. A real fucking shame that they're using the CGI bastard version of Yoda rather than the Frank Oz puppet, but he's gotta go in top tier. One of the most iconic mentors in all of film. I'm gonna put him in A, because what I think is the best about Baby Yoda is how he inspires other characters around him to act, particularly the Mandalorian. On his own, it's hard to really say because he doesn't really say or do anything, but, you know, he really does enhance the characters and the other events that happen in the stories. C-3PO. Trash. Is he iconic? Yes. Is he the most annoying fucking thing committed to film? Hell yeah. Qui-Gon Jinn. Trash. No, that's kind of harsh. We'll put lower side of meh. Again, not really that well developed. There could have been something interesting they could have done with him. It would have been really nice to see Obi-Wan interact more with his master and see why he is the way that he is based on how he was as a young Jedi with Qui-Gon Jinn, but they just fucking killed him for some reason. So I'm gonna put him in the lower side of meh. Padme. Lower side of meh. Padme, not a very good actor in this film, not really good chemistry with Anakin. The fact that she was like a lot older than Anakin when they first met and had this weird like mother-son relationship in Phantom Menace that turned romantic is kind of problematic. Rey. I think Rey's really good. I feel like they phoned it in a little bit with The Rise of Skywalker with her whole connection to Palpatine. I liked her enthusiasm and her just earnestness, I guess, in her performance, and I liked that the character was just trying to figure out what to do and figure out herself and her past and try to understand everything without really having any help or guidance whatsoever. Lando, I'm gonna put really good. Because again, I like that he gives an insight into who Han is as a person, and obviously his betrayal was the crux of the third act of The Empire Strikes Back, which is one of the most iconic sequences of events in the entire franchise, and it's all because of him betraying his best friend, but then, you know, trying to redeem himself and save Han and his friends as much as he could. I feel bad for Rose. I feel really bad for Rose. So here's the thing. I like Rose as a character. I felt like I enjoyed the actress's clear enthusiasm and excitement for being in the film, but I feel like the decisions they had her make in this forced, weird connection with her and Finn at the end of The Last Jedi felt very random and just for the sake of some sort of subverting of expectations, so I really did not like that. But I feel like she wasn't that bad of a character. I just feel it was just written poorly. If they cut that whole part out at the end where she tries to save Finn, she would have been a really great character and a nice addition to the story. I don't know, the sequels are kind of weird. It's like hard to really truly evaluate them well because there was no planning and it was just a lot of shit thrown in and no cohesion whatsoever, so it's really hard to judge characters throughout the entire course of those three movies because there's so many inconsistencies. It's hard to get a clear sense of whether someone's a good character or not because they keep backtracking all the time. And lastly, we have my boy. I honestly have no idea where to put him. It's hard because he's the main character. He's the focus of the prequels. He's Darth Vader, or future Darth Vader. But they fucked it up so badly, like so badly. Basically, in the first movie, they made him this random kid who says yippee and I'll try spinning, that's a good trick. And then they tried to overcorrect in the other two movies and made him a brooding asshole. The acting was really bad, the writing was really bad, his motivations for becoming Darth Vader were really rushed. But it seems like they tried to put effort into it, but it just really fell on its face. So I almost want to put him in trash. I'm gonna put him in the lower side of meh. Because they tried, I just think they really rushed it at the end. They really were focused on many other things other than character development in the prequels as a whole, and his motivations were just not right. So that's pretty much it. This is my ranking. Again, some of it's kind of hard because the franchise is just so all over the place. There's so much inconsistencies with just how things went and how things progressed. I feel like the franchise as a whole is a bit of a mess, so it's kind of hard to really judge some of these these characters because everything is so fucking inconsistent. But yeah, this is my Star Wars list and my Star Wars ranking. I enjoyed doing this. I feel like this was fun. I feel like if there's any other rankings or tier list things that are on this website, maybe I could do some other videos that have to do with that because I enjoyed this. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any suggestions as what you want to see me rank next or any opinions about my tier list here, then you can let me know in the comments. Or if you think my tier list sucked ass, then you can let me know in the comments as well. I'm going to go play with my cat now because otherwise she's going to murder me in my sleep. So okay, bye.